Hello people of YouTube, my name is Brad, this is my channel Animate Orange, and welcome to another Metal Earth build video. Today on the table we have this long overdue requested video, the last of the Freightliner vehicles. We have the Freightliner dump truck here in all its glory. We're going to put this thing together. This is a viewer request from quite some time back. I made a mistake. I got dump truck mixed up with snowplow, and I built the snowplow and thought I was done. This individual has reminded me that I did not do the actual requested video, and then the move happened. But here I am, build this video. Let's go to the table, open this up, see how difficult this is. So far the Freightliner models have been fairly difficult, fairly challenging would be the word, but still a lot of fun. Let's see if this one holds true to that. Let's go to the table, open this up, see what's inside, put it together. The last of the current Freightliner model lineup for me to build, we have the 11.4 SD dump truck. I can see that the metal has moved up a little bit, so a little bit of a tap to bring that to the bottom. In my recent class, I told everybody to tap their models lightly on the table, and there was one kid in the background that just really went to town on that. They did not get the word lightly. It's quite hefty inside of here. I think we have numerous sheets. Here's one metal sheet. Here's two metal sheets. Here's some instructions. And here is a third metal sheet. So lots of metal sheets to this. We have two pieces of paper for the instructions. I'm going to focus on the first piece of paper. For those of you that have not built a Metal Earth model before, we will take just a moment to go over the instructions. So I've got the first page opened up and folded out. Need to make some room here. On page 1, starting at the top, we have the Metal Earth logo. We have a line drawing with a model in one of the sheets. We have our 360 view, where you can scan this QR code or go to this website to see a completed model that you can spin around on the screen for reference. That can be very handy sometimes. Below that we have our 3 metal sheets, an outline of the 3 metal sheets, and I'm going to grab one of them. It looks like I may have grabbed this one down here. Yes. Make sure you've flipped them to the correct side that it actually matches up with the parts. But I've grabbed this sheet down here. As you can see, it's an outline of this particular model, particular sheet of the model, and it has all the parts numbered so that you can easily find the parts, clip them out, and put them together. You also notice that there are some pieces that are colored in, not just in this sheet, but this one and this one. The pieces that are colored in the same color are the same part. For instance, all of these right here are probably part of the tires or wheels. They're all brown, they're all part 47. You can see 47 is labeled here. The other 3 are not labeled because they're all the same part. Love that they started doing that some time back. Saves time in finding duplicate parts. Moving over to page 2, because there's so many sheets, this is kind of spread out, so many metal sheets. We've got a sample part with a notation of insertion tabs, insertion holes, and fold lines. Insertion tabs ultimately go into an insertion hole somewhere, and fold lines are basically pre-scored areas where a part folds or curves to help it bend in shape. We have a legend that'll help you understand what's going on in the instructions. And in that legend you have E's pointing at usually the engraved side, NE points at the non-engraved side. Now sometimes that is not as obvious as it seemed, and the non-engraved side will have engraving, but it's fold lines or it's not detail that you want showing, whereas the E pointing at the engraved side is usually meaning detail that you want showing. Tension point, you'll see that sometimes it's just they're trying to get your attention, usually how something aligns, like a slot or a tab or a part lines this way, and if you don't line it that way, things might not work out. Then the blue circle and green triangle have been around since the beginning of Metal Earth models, I believe. Blue circle means to insert a tab and fold it over 90 degrees. Green triangle means to insert the tab and twist it 90 degrees. We have some bit over here about tools, but we'll go over tools here in just a moment. And then below that we have the start of the assembly flowchart, starting of course with part 1. And we see here how the sides fold around and then the front folds in, and we have an X2, which is basically saying there are 2 part 1s, which is kind of indicated that there are multiple because this is colored in. Shape them both this way, move to the next spot. Here we can kind of see that those are seats, probably for the cab. We have part 2, which goes under here, a little bit of folding of tabs there. These parts connect. The green triangle means that they You twist the tabs to hold it together, and we slide over here where we've got part 3 that folds this way and attaches, part 4 that kind of a sub-assembly here showing how to fold that, and it attaches down here, and you end up with that. And that's the gist of it. You're going to repeat that sort of process with different parts and different assemblies throughout the instructions, just following the arrows, completing the assemblies and sub-assemblies, flipping over to the next page. Once you get to the bottom, here's page 3. Get done with that. Page 4, just following the arrows, which mostly go from left to right, but sometimes they'll curve around. I don't see that here. Once you get to the bottom of page 4, you would grab the other set of instructions, open it up, find page 5, and continue on. Once you get to the end of this set of instructions, you're done with your model. Let's talk a little bit about tools. The very basics of what you're going to need is a pair of tweezers and some clippers. The tweezers, you can do a lot of bending, shaping, twisting of tabs, folding of things over. The clippers are going to help you get the pieces out of the sheets cleanly and easily by clipping them out instead of trying to bend them out, which can cause damage. I've also supplemented my set with some precision tweezers. I have a couple of pointed ones here. One, I ground the tip down just a little bit to give it a more sturdy tip for tabs and twisting things, and then I have a precision flat set, and between all of these I can do a lot of bending and shaping and twisting. I also strongly recommend some sort of pliers to complement your set. I have some flat nose here that have definite uses. I have some long needle nose pliers for some of the longer pieces, and then I have some curved tips for grabbing things at an angle and bending them over. For shaping a lot of curves and dome shapes and whatnot, you'll see me use an array of 3D printed tools that I've designed that you can find on my Etsy if you're interested. Otherwise, you'll also see me pull out a cheap drill bit set that I have that's not sharp for shaping cylinder shapes, or just look around your house and use objects that you find like dowel rods, pencils, maybe some beads to shape certain things. Talked a little bit about tools. We've got the basics to get us started: clippers, tweezers, and pliers and such. Got the metal sheets at the ready, instructions laid out. Let's put this together. First up for this build is making the seats and parts of the interior. This is an interesting little connection here where a small side piece folds in and has a tab that goes into the side as the piece folds up. The slot is wide enough that the connection works perfectly. There is that cool side piece with the tab that slides right into place again. I decided to use the rounding block to help round the edges of this curved part. I kept having a cramp in my hand as I worked on this section. It slowed me down just a little bit. It's interesting how the front window piece goes down into the cab and is the mount point for the dash. It takes some patience to get the dash into place. The one side of part 24 and 26 has a tight fold that makes it difficult to get the slots over the tab. I fought with the first one, part 24, for a few seconds, but for whatever reason, part 26 was more difficult. You have to stretch the folded or curved over area down at just the right angle to get the slot over the tab. Getting the fenders on was a bit of a challenge. There are two pieces with 2 tabs each that go into 4 slots. It takes some work to get all 4 slots lined up. I struggled with the tab on one end of part 26 for 3.5 minutes before I managed to get just the right angle to allow the slot to slide over the tab. Because of the small size, I used drill bits to round the ends of part 32. It took me a few tries to find the right size drill bit. I decided to wait to attach part 32 last so that I didn't bend the delicate parts. I went ahead and started shaping parts 31 to attach them. I have a slight suspicion that the instructions overcomplicate how to shape part 32. I didn't bend the flaps with the tabs on it at all. I just attached the part and let it be at first. Once I got both parts on, I decided to put a little angle or bend in the area right behind the round piece. I bent the end to one side and then bent the round piece back straight so that the round front piece was more or less centered. Maybe that wasn't the way the instructions intended, but I felt it was a proper way to do it. I was a little worried about getting the cab attached to the frame, as it tends to be with connections like this that I have problems. Things were going quick and smooth until I got to the last tab and then something jammed. I had to pull one side apart and try again at a slightly different angle, and then all was well. Now that I have finished building the cab, save for the front bumper, which I will realize later on that I missed, it's time to build the wheels. And this model has a lot. First up, the front wheels. I'm not going to show the assembly of every wheel, just one from each of the three kinds. For the front wheels, the hubcap goes on top of part 33. I've noticed that a lot of the tire pieces have 4 tabs on one side and 2 on the other, which kind of forces things to go in a certain order. And now to make the back part of the wheel with the piece that attaches it to the frame. I looked and I noticed that the third offset tab on the connection part that it connects the wheels to the frame is towards the bottom of the frame. So I tried to line up the seam of the tire with that bottom tab as best I could so that the seam would more or less be hidden under the part or under the vehicle. For the second set of wheels, I started to fold things the wrong way. Part 39 folds backwards from part 34 and goes on the inside of the next part. Now on to the third set of wheels. Be sure to assemble the parts in the correct orientation and order. Some parts may seem to go together backwards at first, but it will work out in the end. The sides of the dump truck bed have an odd shape to them. It takes a little work to get it bent to shape. I tried a few different tools and methods to shape things. I think in the end, using the handle of the precision tweezers and a flat nose pliers to hold them together produced the quickest and best results. I managed to barely get a 3D printed bending tool to work and bent the part the wrong way, and then had to fix my mistake. Once again, I started bending things the wrong way, but I caught the mistake before I got very far. I am thankful that parts 54, 55, 58, and 59 have segmented sides, making it easier to bend the sides up without warping the part. The instructions would have you attach the sides of the bed with a folded tab, but I think this is a rather bad idea. I recommend twisting them, as the sides will easily lay over as you're trying to assemble, and with folded tabs things will just simply slide out of place, as they did with me several times. Another alternative, if you're going to fold the tabs, would be to fold tabs in different directions to help keep things on. It took me a bit to realize it with this last trim piece, but the tabs come out on the bottom inside the bed, and there's just barely enough room to get to them and twist them. I thought I was finished as I was showing the model off to the camera. I noticed the front bumper was missing. Oops, I missed a step. The good news, the front bumper is pretty simple to put on. Coming in just short of 3 hours, we are finished with this build. I did make a few minor mistakes here and there and had to go back and fix some things, but nothing to really add a lot of time. I caught myself in a lot of mistakes pretty quickly. It was a fun build. It was a little bit challenging. There are a lot of wheels on this thing. There really are a lot of wheels. There's 3 different designs. They took some time, but overall this is a pretty good build. Recently kind of told somebody online, and it was a bit of a joke myself, when it comes to shaping the hoods on these Freightliner models, they are unique and a little bit challenging to build, and about the time that I think I've got the process down, I'm at my last build. There is a review video coming pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. I'll leave it at that as always. Thank you for watching, and keep on keeping on.